Let me take you into the first job I have. Nearly 20 years ago, my first job as a teacher in a school for children with severe learning difficulties in the city of London. I had all sorts of children, those with Down syndrome, ADHD, autism, and all sorts of developmental disabilities. Right. So imagine me in this job. As you can see, I'm a very small Chinese woman. And teaching in London, I have a lot of children who are English and European. So you can straight away tell that they're all towering over me, especially when I teach in the secondary section of the school. So when I go on any outings and when they have to do a head count, they will count me along as one of the students. And they say, hey, there's one extra. Or when they say, can the teacher please stand up? I'll go, I am standing up. So this is me bringing you into a day in history of my life in the playground when I was on duty one morning. As I was standing there scanning the entire playground from the field to the court, I see all the children playing and they were running about to and fro, throwing balls at each other, running around and skipping on the tarmac. And I saw this girl, she was chasing somebody and she banged into a pillar. Now remember, I work in a school with people with severe learning difficulties, so they do have different ways of interpreting the world. So this one young lady was from my class, so instinctively as her class teacher, I ran up with her with a worried look on my face. She turned around and looked at me. We gained eye contact and she was bleeding on her lips. So what did I do? As a teacher, I went up to her and she saw the worried look on my face. And she must be thinking, wow, whatever she's going to do to me, she's going to inflict more pain than I'm already having. So when I came close to her, she grabbed my hair and pulled in her defense. So my hair was getting pulled on one side, and on the other side of the playground came another girl, and she is somebody who is known to the whole school as a hair puller as well. And she likes to pull hair of people her favorite people, to get attention. So that was her modus operandus. So she thought, far be it that this teacher of mine, I was her favorite teacher at that time, her hair get pulled by somebody who's not herself. So she came from the other side of the playground, got close to me and she was like this, and she pulled the other side of my hair. So can you imagine me down there, both sides of my hair being pulled, and by this time the whole playground had stopped playing to watch this unusual spectacle. And thankfully there were some teachers over there who were much bigger size than I am, and they came and they tickled and they tackled these two girls and they rescued me after what felt like forever. So that was 20 years ago, and today I work as a developmental and educational psychologist in the office block next door to MCKL. Now, I still work with people with different abilities who are enabled differently, and I love my job. I really do. So you will ask me, why do I choose a job to work with people who are different and who is challenging? Now, I agree that not everyone will want to work in a job like this. So I think about, why do I choose a job like this? And maybe somewhere in my childhood, in my growing up days, I felt vulnerable and I could identify with people who are vulnerable. Have you felt vulnerable? Have you felt being different from others? Have you felt being left out and you can't fit in? No, I don't think everyone will choose the path that I've chosen, but I've come from a long way from the first school that I work in, and I've come to find out that actually what we call special needs is only one end of the continuum. And on this one end, yes, we know people who are vulnerable, who are possibly, obviously needing quite intensive support all their life. But on the other end, we have got the more moderate and mild, and the continuum goes on to quite normal actually. And they may just be people who are able to stand on their own 2 feet, but they are just disabled by the society that they live in. Because I really think that ability and disability is really 2 sides of the same coin. It really depends where you are and who you're with. So for example, if you happen to go to a foreign country, to a remote place, Malaysians going to Japan or France where you don't speak that language and they don't speak a lot of English, you will find that you're incapacitated and you're lost. And you feel like a duck out of water, don't you? So I think that, So the WHO, the World Health Organization, tells us that up to 15% of people around the world live in some kind of disability. So if there are 100 of you here, there'll be 15 of you here who may be different or who have some kind of difference and enabling that is different from the rest of us, right? I would like to see it as a differently being able rather than being disabled. That's what I like to see it as. And I'm willing to bet that we are more sympathetic to people who are visibly have a special need than we are of those who look typical but maybe are a little bit odd, right? For instance, if somebody with a broken leg come to you, you may think that if they're clumsy, they knock into you, that's because of their broken leg. But if somebody is a little bit socially strange or odd, they have got an interest that's different from you, for instance, or they may talk out of turns, they may do things a little bit slower, then I think you may not be so patient and understanding. So as I was saying earlier, I think you are disabled by the society you live in. For instance, in this picture of these 2 people on a wheelchair, they do not have access because of the staircase. We live in Brickfields, or we are in Brickfields, and we know that the deafblind center is just near us, and we see a lot of people who are visually impaired around. Now, they are disabled by maybe a pothole, the pavements, the roadworks, right? That becomes a disability to them because of the environment that they live in. If our world is turned upside down and all books are published in Braille, then it's possible that you and I have got a reading disability. So I think it's a matter of our perspective of how we look at things. So in my career, I meet a lot of people. There's some people who try to fit in, but others around them are not ready to embrace them. There are those of them who can't fit in because of their uniqueness, and people around them are not ready to embrace their uniqueness, and therefore there are barriers to their existence. But let's face it, right? Birds of a feather like to flock together. We all like to be with people who are similar to us, who think the same way or do the same things. And when somebody is different come in, we feel a little bit maybe uncomfortable or even vulnerable. And it's difficult really, isn't it? Because when we need to embrace somebody who is different from us, we always have to make room, right? Make space. We may have to shuffle a little and change a little of the way we think and we do things to make things fit. The the change comes from us. So, our status in life don't always stay the same. We like the way we are, but sometimes the oddball may actually be the people that we know. They may be our children. They may be ourselves, because circumstances change in life. 2 years ago, in my office, I had a mom come in, and she was complaining to me about the person who was sitting at the reception. Now, he happened to be somebody with a social and communication difficulty. And so the mom was saying to me how annoyed she was that this person was so poor at communication and understanding her needs. And she said, maybe I shouldn't have somebody like that working in my office because he's incompetent. Ironically, she came to talk to me about her child who has difficulties getting along socially and having difficulties with his peers. And I thought, wow, if only you could see what you're talking about. Similarly, the same situation that your child is in, he may be the person that is sitting at the front desk one day and people complaining about him and we're not giving him a chance. So the odds can really change. Yeah. So inclusion, in a nutshell, is really about not expecting people to fit into our mold of what we expect of people, but to accept them for who they are, embracing their uniqueness, and making accommodations in the way we do things so that they can fit in. So I want to end with this story. Some of you may have heard of this story before. It's a story by Lauren Isley about the starfish thrower. So one day a jogger was walking along the beach and he was dismayed to see thousands of starfish on the seashore that was brought in by a storm. As he was jogging along the beach, he saw in the distance a young man throwing something back into the sea. As he got closer, he saw this young man bend over, pick up a starfish and throw it into the sea. As he got to the young man, he was doing the same thing with another starfish. And so he said to this young man, "What can you do? There's nothing you can do. Look at the number of starfish on the shore. You can't make a difference." The young man looked at him, picked up a starfish, and as he was throwing back into the sea, he said, "No, but I made a difference to that one starfish." So what the message I would like to share with you all today is, everyone is of worth, however different you think they are to you. Every life is valuable, and we shouldn't look at people, we should look beyond. Today's theme is beyond today. We should look beyond what society thinks is successful in life. The ones that are good in their grades, eloquent in speech, the ones who are beautiful, the ones who make a lot of money in life. That's what society thinks is success. Do we look beyond that everyone is valuable and worth caring for? So, I made my decision to make a difference in whatever small way I can. It takes a bit of practice. And when you do something to include somebody in your life, however different or difficult they may be, to alter your life, you learn empathy. You learn to put others before yourself. And indirectly, what you do is you become a person that is better at looking at your own flaws. And you are able to then face the storms in your life better. So here's my starfish. Are you ready?